Hello everyone, welcome to Homeschool Autism Life. My name is Jamie. Today we are outside in the glorious sunshine with the cars and vans and noise outside, but it's too nice of a day to stay cooped up. And so I thought for today I will do this video outside if they will let me. So if you hear background noises or anything like that, or if I'm squinting because of the sun, that's why. But I'm like, it's too nice not to be doing this outside. The temperature is just perfect here in Alberta. So today I wanted to chat about homeschooling our special needs children and why teaching our children is something, time in particular, teaching them time is of value. And so the reason why I do it is because time is something that everyone has to deal with, whether it's you have to get to work on time, whether it's what time is it to eat, or what time do I do these certain chores, when do I get ready for bed. All of these things are part of our lives. They do not get to be mitigated or changed just because it would be easier if we didn't have it. And I want my child to have the ability to look at any clock and recognize what time it is, or be able to figure that out for himself. So for those who are new, my son is 16 years old and I have been teaching him time for many years at this point. And so I wanted to share part of my process, how I broke it up into littler steps. I have a video on here on how I taught my son to ride his 3-wheel bike, and that was because we live in Alberta. That was a process of many years as well. But it was one of those things where, again, if you don't, for our kids with autism, and this may be for other special needs as well, there's this idea of if I find value in it, I will learn how to do it. Sorry, there's maple bug fly flying. I'm like, eh. But have you ever had to teach your child how to work your phone, or an Xbox, or the television, or any of those things? There's like these built-in, I must be able to do this because I want to do it, right? And I think that's true in all humans. If it's something that you're interested in, you will spend the time to figure it out and learn it, right? And there's not built in necessarily ways of doing time. There's not this, okay, unless you build in, like, you can have your Xbox at this time or whatever, which I recommend you do if you can. In our family, it didn't work that way because I need to keep my son busy while I'm doing stuff with the girls. Otherwise, he is destroying something, or when he was younger, he would elope, or those types of things. And so with him being attached to an electronic device really helps me know that A, he's safe, or B, I can get stuff done without having a huge kerfuffle because the girls' room is completely destroyed. So again, it's one of those things, it's your family, and you know what's going to work and what isn't going to work for your family. So the first step that I did was I went online. I think I've talked about this a few times before, but I want to talk about the whole process. So I got this just off of Google. I found one that was kind of colorful, but not like so bright it hurts your brain. And I printed it, and then I put on some magnets so that it sits on the fridge. And then I also had this, I don't even know what it was from, but I think it's from a pin because it kind of looks like a Mickey Mouse thing. But I also have like just a thumbtack, and that's what I just got. These arms came with the printout. And I can see if I can try and attach some to the description box down below, or find the one that I used when I shared making this. But this has been on my fridge for years and years and years. And what I would do with my son is we work on calendar time, which again is a part of the whole time thing. But time in particular, when we get to doing his calendar, this is part. So the first part is the date and the weather, and like I add to things as time goes on to make it a little bit more challenging as he gets it. And with the time thing, he would start out not being sure of how to do it at all. And so then I would take his hand and I would show him, okay, we've got a little stove that has the digital time on it, and I'll have him go, okay, what's the first number? And he'll say it's 12. And then I'm like, okay, perfect. Now I want you to say what the second number is, and if it's 05 or 25, and I would take his hand and figure out, and I would show him this outer edge, which was important. And so the next step is actually going to be me cutting this off one day when I feel like he's got it. And I think he does, like we're almost there, but he needed my hand to show him. And then every once in a while he likes to take my finger and just like he pushes it up sometimes. But I think that's just because he wants to be in charge sometimes. But this stays on our fridge, and he does that every time we do school. And so we had done that for probably a year and a half, 2 years before I started going, okay, now I need to add something to it. And I'm sorry, I'm knocking you over because apparently this table is not flat. So the next thing that I did, I got this telling time bingo from somebody at a garage sale. Like that was it. But I'm sure you could find something like this and just make it yourself. But they have probably like 100 bingo cards in this thing, and right now I have like 5 or 6. So because I have like a whole section of different manipulatives that I make for my son, sometimes I don't want to go over it every week and change it. So what I will do is I will simply take this one from back here and tuck it into the back, and then the one in front is the new bingo sheet. So he never gets used to it. He never just remembers. And what I do with this is I say, Darian, can you find 145 for me? And he will check it when he finds it. Now, right now, after doing that for probably close to a year, I want to say, he gets it right, but he hesitates. He kind of just hovers over it until I go, yep, that's the one, and then he'll check mark it. But I don't do it straight across. I'll do random, I'll do corner to corner, I'll do all sorts of things with the same card for a few days, and then I'll change it. The next step I added was I've just got a little Velcro thing here. And again, I think this was in the bingo game as well. But I thought, you know what would be good is when we work together in the evening is that I tell him to look at the clock in our living room, and that clock is Roman numerals. So I'm adding that little extra bit of difficulty, but because it's the same shape and because he kind of has had his mind fixed with this clock and the one on our stove, he was able to adjust and adapt to that one fairly quick. And so now the next step is for me to ask him to verbalize. So when we do this clock in the morning, I have him do it, and then I say, okay, what time is it? And he'll say it is 12:45, and I'm like, exactly right. This one, I'm having him write it down. And so it's 5:05, and then I wrote up here, evening is PM, morning is AM, and so then, or afternoon. I think I had afternoon written there last time, but it's interchangeable. I want him to understand that. So then what does this, like, it, to me, there was a divide between what that time and being able to tell time it did for him versus how it affects and challenges his life. So this year I got something new, and just from Amazon, and I will link it down below, but this is a visual timer. Okay, and you can't, I don't know if you can see that that's on green. And when the time elapses, I have it, you can have it quiet, like no sound, no anything, which is what I have it on, because I don't want that piercing alarm sound, because for our kids with autism, it's not something that they enjoy, and knowing that that's coming is going to give a lot of anxiety, right? You can turn it down lower, and you can have it up high if your kid isn't somebody who struggles with sound. You can have it on vibrate, so this whole thing will vibrate when the time is done. And you can also have it on just the light, and that's what I have for him, and I'm hoping it will show you when I'm done. But this one is showing the passage of time for him. So when he has a job that he needs to do, this gets pulled out. So right now we're just doing a puzzle, so it's part of his routine that he does a puzzle. And then I'm going to, as he gets used to this and doesn't mind it, I'm going to have him use it for our school. So I'm going to say, okay, you have 5 minutes to read the book for mom, or you have 10 minutes to do your clock stuff, or your telling time stuff. The next step too with this one is I'm going to have him read the time to me, and I'm going to check it off. But again, those are all changes, so I have to do them very, very slowly so that he gets used to it. So maybe I only do one face. I do all of the stuff that I usually do, and then I go, Darian, can you tell me what time this one, this corner one says? Just this one. And he might fuss, and he might get frustrated, and so then it's me being slow and steady and patience and allowing him, and eventually we'll get to the point where he is telling the time. The next thing too that I wanted to add was the part where in this one it doesn't have the in between, but it'll do 12 o'clock, it'll do 12:15, it'll do 12:30 and 12:45. It doesn't have the in-betweens to those, which I'm fine with. But because I'm doing that with him when we're practicing this, and because I'm not exactly at 12 o'clock, or I'm not exactly a quarter after, or I'm not exactly, but that part that I just said, the quarter after, the quarter to, half past, those are the next steps that I'm going to be doing with him. And I feel like that's really, really important, a key aspect to him learning how to manage his time and how to recognize time. He's 16 now, and he will probably be with us for quite some time. But me being able to go, okay, so now we've got this, and Mom is going to teach you how to utilize it and make sure that we still have a minute or two. We still are able to go, okay, this should only take you about this much time. And so if I have one of these visual timers that show him the passage of time, he will be able to recognize, okay, I should be done by now. I should, or maybe he'll take, because he does love turning the knob, but maybe he'll take the knob, take charge of it, is what I'm trying to say. So if he goes, okay, I want to be done this job by such and such time, he will use this timer himself. Right now we're still just getting used to it. He likes to get, like, I give him an hour, and then he'll turn it and give himself an extra hour, and there it goes. So that is telling him, oh, time is up, the blue is gone, and your time is up. And it will blink like this for quite some time. And it also, it has not Velcro, it has magnets on it, but it also has one of these, and we hang it up on the wall just so it doesn't get dropped and banged down. But this is something that I have felt was such a necessary part of teaching him how to manage time, how to recognize the passage of time, not just be able to arbitrarily check the time, if that makes sense. So again, anything that I teach my son is going to be something that takes time, and you have to be willing to like find ways to break it up. And it's not always easy. Like some of this stuff, it has been dictated to me by him. What he was willing to do or what he was able to do was not necessarily, I'm like, this is, you know, teaching time to children who don't have special needs seems like just like teaching them to talk. There's not a lot there if you had a child who struggled with telling time. And I think my one daughter does. There's my dog. It's a little bit more difficult, but because she can follow a rhythm and a pattern, she doesn't need it as much. But with this, there's so many things going on in their brains to be able to tell on an analog clock what time it is, or transfer that from an analog clock or a digital clock to an analog clock. Like there's so many good things, and it's yeah, I'm just really thrilled with how it's going. I would love it if it would go faster, but nothing goes fast. So I hope that this was a helpful video. I will try and leave links to what I can find with what I have, but it's definitely worth pursuing and teaching to our kids. When you're talking about the aspects of all of education and what our kids with special needs need, they don't need geometry, but they do need to be able to tell time. So I hope that that's helpful. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.